Hey everybody, it's Eric from EPAutos.com, your libertarian car guy, and it must still be International Slow Driving Month. All of a sudden, over the past week or so, even by the normal standards of Cloverdom, the driving has become incredibly slow around here. You can see I'm going 43 miles an hour, if you can see it on my radar detector, on a road with a 55 mile an hour speed limit, and I've already had to pass two people who weren't even going 43. One of them was going like 34. I don't know whether it's because these idiots have gotten their vaccine, which is already eating their brains alive, whatever's left of them, but the driving has gotten appreciably worse. Notice how I had to slow down again because there was a guy walking by the side of the road with a vest on. Oh, safety, safety! This safety thing has gotten so completely freaking out of hand that it has completely ruined this country, frankly. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you about this 2021 Genesis G80, which brings back some memories for me of Hyundai. I can remember when Hyundai did not have a luxury division, which is what Genesis is today, and when Hyundai certainly didn't sell any luxury cars. It sold kind of sketchy basic cars that filled a need for people who didn't want a used car but couldn't really afford a good new car, so they got little Hyundais like the Hyundai Excel. And now Hyundai is selling really nice big rear wheel drive cars, big sedans like this G80. So that's really fabulous. What's not so fabulous, I'm sad to report, is that for 2021 the engines are getting smaller. Many of you who have followed my stuff know that I've commented on this before, and here we have another example. The G80, which is a car that starts nearly at $50,000, not quite, 48 and change, used to come standard with a V6, just like the BMW 5 Series, just like the Mercedes E-Class, just like any car in that class, where it was expected that if you were spending that kind of money, you were going to get a 6-cylinder engine, at the very least. Then all of a sudden the engines began getting smaller, and the reason for that has absolutely nothing to do with buyer interest in smaller engines or even manufacturer interest in putting smaller engines in bigger cars. It has everything to do with the car companies, the manufacturers, as we press people call them, having to find some way to eke out a couple of more miles per gallon to improve their corporate average fuel economy numbers, which is the bureaucratic term for the MPG mandatory minimums that the government sets forth. And if the car companies don't meet them, if they're not in compliance, then they get fined. And it's not just for the individual car. They get a tax that's applied to their entire product lineup, which they then have to transfer over in the form of a higher MSRP to you and me, the people who are buying the cars, which is quite something, quite ironic when you think about it, because these CAFE standards, the mileage standards, were trotted out by these arrogant control freak busybody bureaucrats as, oh, we're going to save you some money. Except, of course, the cars cost more now because of the more elaborate technology that's needed to comply with all of these mandates. So now, instead of a relatively simple V6, you have a highly complex, turbocharged, often intercooled 4-cylinder engine to make up for it. And of course, then there are all the fines that are attached because it's punitive. You know, it's not enough that you have the choice to punish yourself if you wish to go out and buy a car that doesn't get 30 or 40 miles per gallon. You're paying for it. Isn't that great? That's the way it ought to be. But the government wants to punish you. You know, if you don't do what it wants, it's going to punish you. A, by making you pay more to have a car that you want with an engine that you want. And if that doesn't work, they'll punish you by giving you an engine that you probably don't want, and more increased cost up front, as well as probably down the road when things begin to go wrong with the car, which inevitably they will with any car. And the more complex the car, it's almost an axiom, the increased the odds of something going wrong, especially as time rolls by. You know, you get into 10, 12, 13, 14 years down the road, and you know, things start to break. A lot of people, at least sensible people, try to keep their cars going for as long as it's economically sensible to do so because of the massive cost of a new car today. You know, you spend $50,000 on a vehicle, or you rather sign up for a loan on a $50,000 vehicle. That's a huge chunk of money. You know, it's the next biggest chunk of money that most people will ever spend next to their house. But unlike a house, cars have become disposable, and they get disposable pretty quickly, which is, by the way, a very, very sad and tragic thing, because were it not for all of this nonsense, cars would be a whole lot less disposable and longer lived than they are. Oh, this guy's slowing down because there's a car ahead that's got a light on the roof, and it could be a cop, but it's just some private security guard, and this guy is all flipped out about it. So now I got to go around the guy, and oh my God, I'm telling you, no wonder people want automated cars. Driving is just becoming tortuous these days. Anyway, that's the skinny so far about the Hyundai G80 and what's new, which is a little bit less than you used to be able to get. I'll have more up at epautos.com shortly. Hey, look, it's a Yenko Super Camaro, which sounds pretty nice. I'd still rather have a real Yenko Super Camaro, but that's just me. I'm old school. I know I'm getting grumpy in my dotage, but so be it. Anyway, thanks for viewing. Thanks for listening to the rants, and we will catch up with you again soon.